Yo, everybody, it's here. UFC 300 is fucking finally here. It's like WrestleMania when I was a kid. I'm fucking overjoyed. Before we get into anything, rest in peace, Sway. Sway forever. Check out Q's new song, Forever Sway. We showing love and we continuing the process. We gonna be perfect this card. Man, let me just get started off by saying top to bottom, I'm talking about every fight. This is one of the most stacked cards in UFC history. Let me get right into it. Cody No Love Garbrandt, 14-5 in his career, 32 years old, 5'8, 65.5-inch reach, trains out of Team Alpha Male. Nine and five in the UFC, 11-4 when it comes to TKO. No submission wins, no submission losses. 3-1 when it comes to decision. Damn, I'm looking like alfalfa. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. He is plus 245, taking on the favorite Davison Figueiredo, coming in at minus 305. Figgy has a 68-inch reach. He's 5'5". He's moving up to 135, moving up to bantamweight from flyweight. 22-3-1 overall. 9-1 when it comes to TKO. 8-1 when it comes to submission, and 5-1 when it comes to decision. Two of those three losses were to Brandon Moreno, and he's got some slick submissions, does Figgy. For this fight, I do think Cody Garbrandt overall is a dog. He just lost his chin. I think he's got great striking. I think he's got great wrestling. His grappling submission game is not the best, but it's okay. He's got the wrestling to do ground to have ground and pound. He's got wrestling control. He's got good takedown defense. I'm really curious to see how this fight goes. I do think Cody has a chance here at plus 250 odds. I really do like him at plus 250 odds. But my pick for this fight is going to be the fight to not go the distance, minus 175. I just think Figgy, if he finds that chin, he's going to knock Cody out cold. And I also think that Cody striking is really impressive and that he's also live for a knockout or even like Figgy's live for a submission, knocking Cody down on the ground and snatching up his neck with a rear naked choke. That's gonna be the what I like for the fight the most. The age gap is really worrying me with Figgy, which is why I'm not giving him out as a straight pick and saying fight to not go the distance. He is 36, 4 years older than Cody No Love Garbrandt, which is surprising because Cody's been around for so fucking long. But both these guys have, lost to the best of each division. Like Figgy's only lost to Moreno recently, and Cody's chin just hasn't held up. But he is on a two-fight win streak, turning it back around. That's why I think the plus 250 is a little juiced here. In a good way. If you think Cody's gonna win this fight and his chin's gonna hold up, take that plus 250 by any means. But if you think Figgy's a dog and he's not gonna quit how he did against Moreno, take that minus 3.5 or inside the distance action on Davison Figueiredo. But my best pick for that fight is fight to not go to distance. I don't see it going to the judges' scorecards. It's the first fight on the card for a reason. They want to start it out with a knockout, with a finish, something exciting. And I think that's the way it's going to go. Moving on, we got Jim fucking Miller coming in at plus 150 versus Bobby King Green coming in at minus 185. Uh, but Jim Miller, 37-17, 7-2 when it comes to TKO, 20-3 when it comes to submission, 10-12 when it comes to decision. So when it goes to decision, it don't look good for him. He is 40 years old. I mentioned that already, but he has won at UFC 100 and UFC 200. Both of these guys have fought great opposition. He Bobby Green finished Tony Ferguson. He finished Grant Dawson. He's lost to guys like Thiago Moises, Rafael Fiziev, Jalen Turner, Drew Dober, Islam Makhachev, beaten Clay Guida. He's got some good wins in his career. He's lost to Edson Barboza, But one thing about this fight is that it was supposed to happen twice already. So finally, the third time's the charm. And I think Jim Miller's all around. I think he doesn't have as strong hands, but he's just as good striking. And his chin has held up the last couple of fights. I know Bobby Green's got really good takedown defense, but 20-3 when it comes to submission, it doesn't matter when you have good takedown defense against a guy like against a guy like Jim fucking Miller, who's gonna snatch up a submission because he's so slick with it. You know what I'm saying? I really love Jim Miller here at plus 155. That's my best pick for that fight. He won at 100, he won at 200. How perfect would it be for him to be another semi-legend of the sport in Bobby Green and just call it quits on his career, at UFC 300, the biggest event so far of all time. Official pick here is going to be Jim freaking Miller. Underdog pick here. I wanted to go with the underdog pick and Cody No Love Garbrandt, but I'm just a little too scared about that chin. So fight to not go to distance for that one. And here we're gonna go with the underdog and Jim Miller. And do you guys think fucking Bobby Green has recovered from getting murdered by Jalen Turner last time? I don't. So I think Jim Miller might even be live for a knockout here. He's got 11 he's got 7 knockouts in his career. So he's live for it. Next fight is gonna be Marina Rodriguez coming in at plus 120, 17-3 overall, 17-3-2 versus Jessica Andrade, who's coming in at minus 142 and is 25-12. Jessica Andrade is 32 years old. She's the younger fighter. Marina Rodriguez is 36. But Jessica Andrade is always going to be undersized. Even though she hits kind of like a steel truck, she's going to be undersized. She's 62-inch reach for Andrade compared to 65-inch reach for Marina. Marina's got a 5-inch height advantage on her. I think Marina's technically her striking is much more better than Jessica Andrade, but Jessica Andrade does have power in those hands. Of Jessica Andrade's last 10 fights, only 2 have gone to decision. She's 10-5 when it comes to TKO, 8-4 when it comes to submission, 7-3 when it comes to decision. Marina, on the other hand, has only been finished once in her career, and that is by knockout. She has 7 wins by knockout, 1 win by submission, and 9 wins by decision. 2 losses come by decision against Verna Yandradova, and early on in her career, she had a split decision against Carla Esparza. She did get knocked out in the 3rd round against Amanda Lemos, and that is where the knockout comes from. I'm taking Marina Rodriguez plus 3.5 here. I do think these females are closely matched. Jessica Andrade has taken a lot of damage in her career, but let me just give you guys Jessica Andrade's fucking resume. Just knocked out Mackenzie Dern, right, in the 2nd round. Then she gets choked out in the 2nd round by Suarez. Gets knocked out 1st round by Zhao Yan. Gets choked out by Blanchfield. So that's 3 straight losses before her last win. And then she won a unanimous decision against Lauren Murphy. Before that, she's like I'm saying, she's does not go to decision. The only fights that have gone to decision recently is the Lauren Murphy fight, which was in January 2023, and a split decision to Rose Namajunas in 2020. So in the last 4 fucking years, she's been to decision twice. I do think Marina's gonna keep it close enough to where it's gonna be a close fight. And my official pick here, man, it's gonna be Marina Rodriguez plus 3.5. Give me that all day. I love it for a close fight like this. I love picking that plus 3.5. I do think Marina has a takedown defense and she's got the better striking. Let's just hope she doesn't get knocked out because I am pretty confident she will run around. Minus 3.5 or plus 3.5 is at minus 165. Fight to go to distance is minus 135. So if you don't have the DraftKings fight to go to distance, I know I just said only two of her fights went the distance, but I do think Marina is a tough opponent and that she'll cover that +3.5 spread on the judges' scorecards. Marina spread is the pick. Uh, and I think the fight goes the distance here, guys. Jessica Andrade best odds is to win by decision at +240. Marina is at +215. So like basically what they're telling us here is that if Marina can survive the heavy-handed attack from Andrade, she's gonna win the decision because her odds to win decision are +215 and Andrade is +240. This could be a close fight, guys. It could end in a split decision. I do think Mackenzie Dern has no striking, so that's why Andrade knocked her out. And like I said, she's heavy-handed. But the technicality of Marina Rodriguez, even though she's 36, which worries me a little bit, worries me a lot a bit. I'm not gonna lie, but it's all right. We're gonna still take +3.5 Marina Rodriguez at -165 odds. I think she could she's only been finished once, like I said. So that's gonna be the official pick and fight to go to distance. I do think they're evenly matched enough. Or if you just take the over 2.5 at -145, you're not losing too much juice there. Next fight, we're gonna talk about Jalen Tarantula Turner versus Renato Manny Moicano. All right, Jalen Turner coming in at -245, 28 years old, 6'3" with a 76-inch reach, 14-7 overall, versus Renato Moicano, who is 18-5 in one. He's got, when it comes to TKOs, he's never knocked anybody out. He's been knocked out 3 times. 10-1 when it comes to submission, 8-1 when it comes to decision. I'm not overthinking this one, guys. He just had a close Renato just had a close fight with Drew Dober. I honestly think the only reason UFC keeps him around is because he's great on the mic and he's going to be one of those fun fighters. He's one of those fun grappling styles. But Jalen Turner is 4-0 when it comes to submission, guys. He's no bum when it comes to grappling, and he's hard to get submissions on because of his length. And it actually benefits him, his length, to get a submission of his own. But I don't think he's going to do it against a guy like Manny Moicano because his grappling defense is good. And to be honest, he could be on a 5 fight winning streak right now. You know, like those losses against Mateusz Gamrot and Dan Hooker were really close. Just he's too imposing. He just murdered Bobby Green in the first round. I mean, I'm gonna go with Jalen Turner all day here, and groups of rounds. I think he gets it down in round 1 or 2, and the odds for that are -135. So I think he gets it done early. I just think it's a tough matchup for Moicano. Moicano's just he's a grappler with not great takedowns, you know. So if Turner makes a mistake, I think that's the only way he's gonna lose this fight and get submitted. Let's hope but he has to fight a pretty smart fight, keep the distance, use his length to win this fight. Official pick, Jalen Turner -240, and we're gonna go with groups of rounds, winner in groups of rounds. Jalen Turner to win in rounds 1, 2, -130. Official pick for that fight, guys. I think that's my highest confidence pick of the card. Moving on, Sadiq Super Yusuf versus Diego Emo Lopez. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Super Sadiq Yusuf was pretty impressive in that Edson Barboza fight, but Edson Barboza was just more impressive. He lost the first 2 rounds, got knocked down a bunch of times, and then just came back and fucking put a shitstorm on Sadiq. Edson did. Edson really crafty performance to come back and win that fight, and I think Sadiq just slowed down a little bit after thinking he might get a finish early. But Edson was tough in that fight. 13-3 overall for Sadiq. 6-1 when it comes to TKO. 1-0 when it comes to submission. 6-2 when it comes to decision. 6-2 in the UFC overall. He is 3-2 in his last five. Has some good wins over Andre Feely, Mike Davis, Alex Caceres. His losses came to Edson Barboza and Arnold Allen. Pretty good names to lose to, I'm not gonna lie. Sadiq does everything really well, and he does have a power. He's got a power right. But Diego Lopez, let me talk about this guy for a second. 9-2 when it comes to TKO, 12-0 when it comes to submissions. Guy does not get submitted, and he gets the submission, but he doesn't really wrestle offensively. 2-4 when it comes to decision. He's 2-1 in the UFC. 2-fight win streak. Just knocked the fuck out of Pat Sabatini in his hometown, I believe. And we all know, we all remember our introduction to, excuse me, to Diego Lopez. It was against Movsar Evliev, where he took a short notice fight and almost submitted him in the first round. This is Alexa Grasso's coach, so that makes me think he's really smart in the cage with his cage awareness and just decision making overall. I do think he's the featherweight version of Charles Oliveira with the submission game. He's 29 years old. Sadiq is 30, so they're both in their prime. I I think Diego Lopez jumps in the rankings, gets a win here. He is minus, I think he's the favorite. He's minus 142. I could see the fight. I could see him winning a decision here. I could see him, threatening submissions throughout, or even knocking Sadiq down and then like finding a rear naked choke. I'm gonna go with Diego Lopez here. I'm pretty confident in this one too. I just think Sadiq isn't crafty enough to beat a guy like Lopez, who is a coach, who has really great fight IQ. Official pick Diego Lopez. If you want to put some juice on it, get that submission plus 300. And if you think he could beat up Sadiq for three whole rounds, 15 minutes straight, plus 550 by decision, isn't a bad bet. But official pick, Diego Lopez money line. Man, I think he gets it done, guys. I really do think he can find the submission against Sadiq Yusuf. Even though Sadiq's never been submitted, I do think it's there for him. Moving on, guys. So official pick for that one's gonna be Diego Lopez. Holly Holm. Holly, who is 43 fucking years old, home. She beat Ronda Rousey. All right, let me get into Kayla Harrison first. Fuck it. All right, Kayla Harrison is a judoka. She's like the highest level of judo you can be. She's won the Olympic gold medal in judo. She's 5'8" with a 66-inch reach. She's never made 135 in her life. All right, guys, she's never made 135 in her life. I guess we'll find out if she's making it. Were the weigh-ins today? Weigh-ins are tomorrow, so we'll see how she looks. She looked like she got in shape though. She did lose against Larissa Pacheco at 155 pounds. So all her fights, the lowest weight she's fought at is 150, and that was against Aspen Ladd, in which she won a decision, unanimous decision. She uses her wrestling, guys. She's got 6 wins by TKO, 6 wins by submission, 4-1 by decision. Aspen Ladd had her back for a second. I do think Kayla Harrison is gonna win this fight, but if Holly Holm, the preacher's daughter, if she fucking, gets a knockout like she did over Ronda Rousey, I would not be surprised because those are both Olympic medalists. Ronda Rousey and Kayla Harrison. That's something they have in common. So Holly Holm is live for a knockout here. She's got quick hands, but she's just too old. If this fight was even 4 years ago when Holly was 38, I would have taken her because of her striking. Official pick here is going to be Kayla Harrison. I think there's going to be a feeling out process, but I do think Kayla Harrison will get it down to the ground. And in PFL, you're not allowed to use elbows. I think here she's going to be able to, you know, get her to the ground pretty easily. She's going to be worried about her karate and her striking in the first round. There will be a feeling out process, like I said. But Kayla Harrison to win by TKO, at plus 380. I do not mind it. Kayla Harrison to win inside the distance plus 130. I don't mind it. The odds makers seem she just think they that she's just gonna lay on Holly Holm for the whole fight. And Holly Holm really is a clinch fighter. Like she gets those knees in the clinch. And if she's in the clinch with Kayla Harrison, she's gonna get taken down. It's not like she's a distant striker where she's gonna outpoint somebody. Kayla Harrison's getting the takedowns. Once he gets closer, if you want to go